Under the church, where the house of Caiaphas the high priest stood, is an underground complex, and in this complex is a pit. Now, in the Gospels, it refers to Jesus having been held before he was taken before Pilate. He was held at the house of Caiaphas the high priest. Possibly this pit or dungeon is the place. If Jesus was kept in this dungeon room, he would have been lowered by ropes through the hole in the ceiling to this dungeon pit.
This may have been the house of Caiaphas. We're not sure about that, but it's a good possibility. And that then Jesus was held in a pit in the ground, and he would have been lifted up by ropes, much like Jeremiah had happened to him when he was lowered into a pit in the mud. We're not given any indication that Jesus was in the mud or anything, but it could have been, if it was some kind of cistern at that time of the year. It was right after the winter rains. It could also have had water in it. We don't know.
This line shows us the present-day walls of the old city of Jerusalem. But 2,000 years ago, the walls were much greater, which were inclusive of Mount Zion. It is here that the house of Caiaphas stood. During the Byzantine period, between the 4th and 6th centuries, the Temple Mount was left desolate, as we see here in this model of Jerusalem dating back to that time. Nevertheless, the Byzantine authorities did allow Jews to come up and mourn the loss of their temple once a year on the 9th of Av. Throughout the rest of the city of Jerusalem at that time, it was prospering under Christianity, and churches sprang up all over. The Nia Church, which in Latin is the New Church, St. Peter of Gallicantu, the church down at the Pool of Siloam, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Churches sprang up all over as the population grew because of the influx of pilgrims from all over the world. Not only does Roots and Reflections educate us about the land of Israel, but seeks to bring us into a better understanding of the natural and spiritual restoration of its people. Throughout the land of Israel today, tens of thousands of people are in great need, both Jews and Arabs alike. In order to show you this need, we have a DVD which we would love to send you for free called Care and Compassion. Write to us now or call us and we will send it out in the mail as quickly as possible. Care and Compassion. This area of Mount Zion should have been included inside the rebuilt walls of the city of Jerusalem under the leadership of Suleiman the Magnificent, the head of the Turkish Ottoman Empire, who was resident in Turkey. Of course, he went ahead and he hired a couple architects who decided to cut the budget, leaving this part outside the city walls, and they pocketed the money, and as a result, when Suleiman found out, he had them strung up like Judas, and boy, did they become turkeys. On this edition of Roots and Reflections, we have not been getting enough food. I'm hungry, so let's get a snack from a nutty sweet vendor on Mount Zion. And which one would you like? So, I'll take one with the walnuts. Nice big size. What do you want?
I'll take the pistachio.
And he'll have pistachio? Okay. This is a nutty business, but this is freshly made walnuts into a kind of candy bar and pistachios. One for me and two for me. There you go. Thank you. Wow. Walnuts on Mount Zion. This is a nutty business. Mount Zion is home to many yeshivas, and that brings us to the word of the week, yeshiva. What is the meaning of yeshiva?
Sit, לשבת, sit down and learn. That's it. לשבת, sit down and learn.
Yeshiva has been always a term that accompanied the Jewish people. It wasn't life. Was no life without sitting after food, before food, in the evening, sitting around the Word of God and discussing the plan of the purposes of God for His people.
Yeshiva is a place where they sit in God's presence and learn His laws.
So yeshiva is a learning place that's really a
school.
A school for learning for all nations.
All nations, but exactly, all nations don't. Whoever wants to learn about God, he has to sit, because there's no way how to know it without sitting. If you sit and you learn, then you know it. Being in a yeshiva is not only learning the text, is also seeing, the main thing is seeing a live example from the rabbis, how to act and how to treat one another in all ways. Let's say in the kitchen, you eat, so you got to put the plate back. So it's a life thing of learning. It's not only this in the text. The Talmud way how to put things out is through a question and an answer. So it sharpens the text when it's through a question and an answer. But if you just read a text that feeds it to you in a spoon, you're not using your brain. So that's why it's made in this way to that you understand different things. But in the Torah, there's also a lot of parts. That's why you need the rabbis, that to the certain things that you can see in the text yourself, that you don't need the rabbi for. But you need the rabbi to give you the tradition that are over the text more than what it says inside. But especially the diaspora yeshiva is special by opening the doors to everyone. That's the specialty that we have here to all the diaspora, especially in Mount Zion and King David. But David's Psalms was for everyone. So the yeshiva has to be for everyone and everyone that wants to come and know about Judaism.
Rabbi Goldstein gives us an exclusive tour of a section not open to the public, a secret cave with an ancient tunnel access to a spot below David's tomb. Earlier we noted the layers of Mount Zion, with the minaret towering above the holy sites.
Watch your heads.
This cave offers access to a layer dating to antiquity that is even lower than the tombstone.
And it's the closest spot to King David's tomb. Where the roof is that's where, that's the highest spot of the tomb. And then that's also like you have the Muslims there, if you see the thing there. And then on the bottom is the Christians, is the Last Supper room. And they also have like a little thing. And then the lower floor, the floor, is where the Jewish people come, and that's where we see the thing. But now here it's below all these. And this is like really the actual spot that right by the tomb.
So the lesson we can learn about being close to King David's tomb is, he that is highly exalted shall be brought down to the earth, but that which is brought down to the earth shall be highly exalted.
And below here is another floor. There is another way to get to the passage of 40. There's a 40-meter place where the grave is supposed to be the grave of King David. King David is only a symbol place of where the entrance to the grave is. It's not the grave itself. The grave is further down. And therefore it's a very special...
The grave is located here.